times I actually read the thing again. And I say, wow, Chaya, that was brilliant. And you might want to look at it some other time and you'll be surprised. I don't feel it's my wisdom. I feel it's Hashem's wisdom coming through. So these little tabs are gluey. I have them here if anybody wants them. This is another little diptych.
No, I know she didn't.
Alibaba Express, whatever. This is blue. This is a thing. And then you can put a pen on, and then you can put it on whatever book. And I'm giving you a present. These are magnetic bookmarks. Everybody can pick one. Choose what you like, and that way it will encourage you to find your place. You'll never be lost again. So, everybody take one. Don't spend a lot of time taking them. Use your intuition and go.
Intuition.
Does anybody want to share how your week went for those of you that actually wrote?
I wrote. I went out the same day and bought it and decided writing. Found a place to sit down and did it the next day and then third day.
Okay. Anybody else? Good. A cup of tea. The more you ritualize it, the more it's going to happen. It's going to.
And like Erev Shabbat, like and then Shabbat, and then it's like you get out of it.
I recommend when you do this, do it with a lid on your coffee cup because.
I would, yeah.
Okay.
Shabbat is a problem because I used to write in the morning.
It's not a problem. Shabbat is for something else.
Well, do I consider a break in my continuity, or do I write mostly Shabbat or what?
Well, Shabbos is a break in your continuity anyhow, so you just keep on going from there. Okay, so
have you sold any books? Which books you bought to sell? You mean these journals? Yeah. Yeah. There's tons more.
Okay, so for the next 10 minutes, now I'm going to ask you to write 10 things of gratitude. I'm going to ask you to write why you're grateful for it. And if that brings back a memory for you or a feeling for you, like for instance, I'm addicted to coffee. And at one point I thought, as long as during Corona, during the war, as long as there's sugar, coffee, and milk in my house, everything's sababa, as long as I'm not in the hospital with one of my meals. You can throw kadoshas at me, you can, make me wear a mask, and it doesn't faze me because, there's coffee in the house and I don't get in the hospital. So I said to myself, Chaya, why are you so addicted to coffee? Why is that one of your go-tos? It's one of your comfort foods. And I realized that when I was a little girl, they used to take our milk and they used to put a tablespoon or two of watered down coffee and with sugar or something like that. I think they actually used saccharin in those days. And I became, addicted, whatever you want to call it, to coffee. And I mentioned it to a girlfriend of mine, and she says, that's why I like beer. Her parents used to take it to pubs. She's English, and they put alcohol in her bottle. And for her, I'm glad it's not that. Wow, but sometimes when you ask, where did this come from? It's from a memory or a conditioning. Wow.
Or they don't let you have it.
Huh?
Or they don't like. I know someone who docked a cigarette and a coffee because she was told it's like sin.
Okay, so you know what we're gonna do? We're writing 10 things that we're grateful for, why we're grateful for it, and if it springs a memory that you choose to go on and on with the memory, feel free that's what you do. Okay? Are there any extra bookmarks? A what?
A pen.
Okay, go. So date, today it's the 13th of 1. We're gonna write 10 things that we're grateful for.
But today, of course.
And it doesn't matter, whatever, and why you're grateful for it, and if it picks in a memory. And basically what I write is thank you Hashem for whatever.
Sorry.
2 more minutes.
Okay, I'm on line number 2.
Look up so I can see what you're doing. I know we can go on, but there's other things to talk about. Yes. Okay. I can see this time you brought a lot more than last time, because you must be getting used to it. Once you get into it, the flow happens. Your brain, one thing hooks to something else, and it's interesting, I think, the way my brain thinks and how I think and who I am. And when I write it out, I'm trying to get a chance to hear myself think. I think oftentimes if somebody doesn't ask the question, we don't always know what we think. It's in there, but we don't draw it out. So sometimes talking to a good friend, talking to your journal enables you to hear yourself think or write yourself think, okay? The next thing I would like for you to write about is 5 things that you hold very dear as your life rule. In other words, what's important to you? If, God forbid, some disaster happened, what are the 5 values that you would like to be able to take with you no matter what's going on around you? In other words, peace is sometimes the ability to cope with what's going on, even though there's chaos around you. It doesn't mean that you're quiet, sitting on a mountaintop, meditating, and drinking pina coladas or whatever. Okay? So I want you to think about 5 of the value system, 5 of the life rules that are really, really important to you. It's probably something that you grew up with or something that you learned, maybe.
We don't is all like art.
Hmm?
It's not also including dog and art choice.
Like integrity, telling the truth, that kind of thing, and why that is so important to you, because everybody comes to the world with something different. Okay. Like if you didn't grow up with being on time, you probably aren't on time now. That may not be a big one, but okay. It's in the weave of the weft of who you are, and I'm trying to get to the weft. Okay, go.
Say that again. Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Huh?
The last year.
It's in the weave and the weft of who you are, and I'm trying to get to the weft.
Don't worry about it. Oh, I see.
And why?
What's the difference between trust and integrity?
Trust and integrity.
It's a whole shoe.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's-
right. That should be a good question.
Good question.
Maybe. Yeah.
Two more minutes. Okay. Did everybody see something there that surprised them?
What? Yeah, it surprised me that they
Can
connected.
you just talk a little louder?
It surprised me that they connected to each other. One thing connected to the next to the next. That's really cool. So I like that. So
Another thing for me is one of the 5 things was like a big category, and then there's so many things under it. It's like being responsible to myself, to others, to the environment, and ultimately to Hashem. But there's so many subcategories that are under that: being on time, not littering, telling the truth. That there's all these subcategories under the bigger one.
So you can always come back to this and put out more, you know. But I don't know where it came from, because I was the youngest and the smallest, and I was just with my cousin, and she said, "You were so tiny when you were compared to my twin brother." And I never thought of myself as this fragile little kid, you know. Somehow I had to build this armor, and protecting others who can't. What came out for me was protecting others who can't, you know, protect themselves, kind of a thing. And I thought, where did that come from? You know, I don't know where it exactly come from, because it was an antithesis how I started out. But maybe I started out that way so that I would become this like fear lion that I'm gonna, whatever. So,
Lioness.
Hmm?
Lioness.
I look at myself as a fear lion. Anybody else want to share anything?
It's amazing how many of the things I grew up with that. No, I get it from my parents. It's nice. It's something to be grateful for.
So there's something known as a Myers-Briggs test. Some of you may know what it is.
Yes.
I met her, I sat next to her on an airplane. We had this amazing conversation about the comparison between the Olamot and the Myers-Briggs categories. It's great.
So Myers-Briggs came out when I think American business was trying to work in groups as opposed to, you'd be surprised at what could be accomplished if no one person had to get all the credit. Because, business was pretty cutthroat at that point. And you can go online and do a Myers-Briggs test, and it's all these questions that you do, and you find out, are you judgmental? Is judgment more important than feeling? Are you a thinker? Are you a this? Are you that? And it's kind of an eye-opener to look, are you an extrovert? Are you an introvert? And that kind of a thing.
I might have it at home still. I'll have to look. I have a thing. How do you know which one to choose? When you ask the question, how do you know when you ask them to you? How do you know?
So by the answers of your questions,
How do you know the answer? I
huh?
mean, have you practiced the answer?
No, no. It's a
You
random,
guess.
it's a personality test.
guess it.
basically.
You guess the
Somebody
answer.
asks you,
You
have you ever-
assess. You're self-assessing.
right. Take the test and then maybe
How do
come
you
back
spell
with
it?
the
How do you
questions.
spell mine?
Myers-Briggs. It's just one of those.
M-Y-E-R.
I think just M-Y. M-Y-E-R-S.
M-Y-E-R.
Okay. Yeah,
My brother, he was in charge of Frito-Lay. Anyway, before he hired a worker, they had to take the Myers-Briggs test, and that's how they made a decision of whether they hire them or not.
so a lot of it has to do with, like, I worked in a collective organization where we ran a Montessori school. And we knew that we would take this person to do this job because some people are just better at, tachlis, practical stuff. In my group of friends, there's one person who's the one that knows how to order the plane tickets, whether or not you have to get a visa. When Corona was going, she was great because we knew through her, where you're going, what you're doing, what you have to do, and where to get the test and how much is it going to cost and all this yada yada stuff that I'm like, forget it, just show me where I'm supposed to go. I'll pay the money and do it, kind of thing. Not that I couldn't do it. I went to Alaska when I was 18 all by myself, but it wasn't my biggest skill, or it wasn't the skill that comes, naturally, kind of thing. Of course, now there's AI and it'll do it all for you. But okay. Anyone want to share anything else? Yeah.
I realized that my values are what I named my kids. My values are what I named my kids.
Well, wow.
Your what? Your values?
Or what I named my kids. The kids' name. For example.
Yeah.
Amity, MS. My son's name is Nadiv, generosity. Yotam is integrity. It's like all my kids' names are them.
Yotam is integrity. That's how you say it in Hebrew.
That's what I say. Mimut,
Purity.
Shalva.
Yeah.
Shalvi,
It's pretty cool. Direct reflection of who you are.
Barya, God clarity. That's all my kids.
That's really interesting. Anything else? Anyone else? Okay, so there's a mitzvah of V'ahavta Reacha Kamocha. Okay, so basically, you're supposed to do unto others what you would have them do unto you. That's very self-oriented. Not everybody, huh?
I took it away from you because you took my paper away from me and I put it in the middle, so now I give it back.
Huh?
Okay.
Okay.
Wait a second, when we're doing our writing, by the way, let's not talk just because someone else is talking can stop the flow of somebody else, like, it's okay, I understand, but that it takes people out of their train of consciousness. So everybody loves differently, everybody has things about them that, like, if you wanted to be nurtured, what would that mean? What would that be? How do you want to be nurtured? How do you want Hashem to nurture you? And that will, and what would you do for someone else? I was just over a great girlfriend's house for Shabbat, and she's a cook, and one of her love languages is food. And I was nurtured through food all of Shabbat. It was, it was something that I thought, oh, well, this is interesting. And I actually bought some little Johnny jump ups because I saw on a piece of cheese someone had put, it was kosher, little Johnny jump ups on the cheese rind, and it was so beautiful. And I
What's
thought,
Johnny Jump Up?
they're pansies, but they're little. They come in.
Pansy.
Can you just bring that yellow bag there? Put it on. But they're edible, so you can eat them.
Are they handmade or is it something you buy in the shops?
You know what it is, I'm sure. You've seen it all over the place. But
Well,
they last in Alaska, so like all my plants are ones that I.
Flowers.
Flowers.
Johnny jump up. She put them on the food.
Yes, and you can make salads and while I was gone.
Like
while I was-
nasturtium.
While I was there, she had this cheap ricotta cheese and she put some jam on top or berries on top, and then she put one of these little flowers, and it looked so pretty, and I couldn't believe it was sheep because I stay away from sheep and goat because goat milk tastes like goat smell for me, and it didn't. It just tastes like ricotta cheese to me. So, and it was very pretty. So I'm trying to put a little bit of more effort because food is not necessarily, I mean, it's not like I can't cook, but it's not necessarily one of my love languages. You know what the love languages
Yeah, the
are?
5.
Can someone name them? Because I always.
Yeah.
Giving gifts, spending time together.
Touch. Yeah, touch.
Words of-
Affirmations.
yeah, words of affirmation.
And, gifts.
That's the one I always forget.
Oh, helping, doing things.
Oh, yeah. Acts of
Yeah,
service.
acts of service.
It's a service.
Okay, so first I want you to write what.
Wait, can you say them again?
So
And-
Acts of
and-
service.
I want you to look at how you want to be nurtured. Okay, because that's how we filter how we help other people.
Okay, yes, act of service, touch. What's 4 and 5?
Spending time together.
Okay.
And everybody has a little different one.
We write how many or just the.
You don't have to write those. I'm just saying, when you
No.
think of the Saraya of Tzfat, first just think about it. Think of how you want to help others, how you want to be of service to kadosh Baruch Hu through that mitzvah. And then when you've kind of written it out, switch it and see how you want to be loved by others.
But there's a number of ways that you want us to write. it.
I'm sure there's
Whatever.
more than one way that.
No,
people-
I mean,
How many?
how many ways to be
Ah,
nurtured.
okay, so you could write out 4 ways and then 4 ways how you want to give to others and 4 ways how you want the world to do to you. Hashem basically is running the show, okay? Are we all clear? Yes? Go.
You okay? Hmm.
Okay. Give me one more minute.
What was the question?
The question was, Saraya of Tzfat. How do you want to be, how do you want to fulfill that mitzvah, and how do you want it to be fulfilled to you? Okay. So I want to share something about, one of the love languages is giving gifts. And I learned this year about pebbling. It's actually called pebbling. Pebbling, yes. Male penguins go look for the smoothest, best rock that they could find, and they offer it to a female. And if the female accepts it, that's the first rock of their of their nest, and then they mate for life. And when you give gifts to people, doesn't mean that you want to mate to life with them, but it's called, the slang term is pebbling. And I'm really aware of it because I tend to do that, which is why for me, giving out these little things means I've thought about you, I care about you. I want you to feel appreciated. And the fact that you're sitting here at this class and becoming more aware of yourself, and that I have the opportunity, thank you for having this class, so that we can sit here. And I mean, all the time when I'm writing, I come up with these insights about myself about somebody else, about something else that Hashem wants to kind of, push my way kind of thing. Because sometimes you have an issue or a question and you just say, okay, Hashem, send me messages, send me ideas, give me more information about that. And when I open it up, I find that you can open up a book and there's this quote that talks to you, right? You can read something, somebody gives you something. I've learned that I've become a lot more gamish, like I was traveling back from the Merkaz and I could have gotten on this train and I maybe should have gotten on that train, but I didn't get lost, which is good. And I just went with the flow kind of thing. And I remember thinking in my head, well, maybe I'm supposed to meet somebody, or maybe there's something that I need to avoid that I don't even know that I'm supposed to avoid. Huh?
Say bracha.
Right.
I
So
was
did
in
anything,
Alaska.
huh?
I was in Alaska and I was in this like place that no Jews ever go. I was like, I meant to say bracha.
There's a lot of Jews in Alaska.
I know,
More
like
than you-
Israelis, yeah. In the
The
middle of the
Chabad
forest.
Jews in Alaska consider themselves the frozen chosen. And the chief rabbi of Alaska, he was brought up, yes, in Anchorage, he was brought up in B'nai Brak.
I know them.
Right. And the Rebbitzins' grandfather was the guy that I saw making the shmura matzahs in Brooklyn when I went on a school trip. And that was a real one of those, wow. I described this guy with, whatever. Did anyone come up with something interesting to share or surprised you?
Yeah, I was really surprised that I felt like everything that I do for others, I want to get done to me, like the same thing, I was kind of surprised that like I actually like when people feed me, but I don't really like feeding others. So that was really interesting.
You like feeding others?
I don't like.
Oh, you don't like?
I like it. If I have to, I do it. I don't like chicken so much, and I'm sick of it. I get sick after that. Did it too long, 3 years. Not appreciated. When you have little kids, they don't.
And if you say to that person, like, I really appreciate it,
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. There's more chances out of 10 that it will happen more often.
From your mouth to
Positive,
God's ears. From your
positive,
mouth to God's ears.
positive feedback, definitely, I use Skinner boxes. You give them a little chupar, a little prize, and the rat will, do whatever you want him to do again, kind of a thing. I mean,
Not my kids.
Said rabbit.
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised at how that's different.
That's what you were saying. It's the
mode
rabbits,
of
rabbits.
giving my mother one thing.
what? Say
I'm
what?
surprised how different my mother giving my mother one thing.
Right. So, my husband likes words of affirmation. And the only reason why I knew that is he kept on sending me these, when we got these fancy phones, they could send you emojis and little letters and that kind of thing. And at first I looked at it and I said, what does he want from me? Because I don't trust words of affirmation. I just don't. Right. And I realized that was his way, that was his love language. So I put a alarm, because now my phone has this little fancy alarm that at 10 o'clock, I send him, I love you, I'm thinking about you, I care about you. And in the beginning, it was just a road, just give him his love language and shut up, go on. And now it's obviously, I've gotten into the habit of it's, more meaningful to me than it was in the beginning. So you can switch your love language. Each of our kids has different love languages. There was a talk about a husband who just wanted his wife to sit and eat dinner with him. And her love language from her growing up, whatever, was to cook. So she was always in the kitchen cooking, and she was never sitting and eating with him until they were able to, express it. And then they were able to, to work it out. Like I once asked a mother, what's your kid's favorite color? And she said, huh? And her daughters all wore the same thing, they went to Bnei Brak and they bought the same outfit. And I'm thinking, when I see that, I think, but what if Yocheved doesn't like brown and orange? I mean, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. When you have 12 children and you've gone on a trip and you need to see whoever is wearing brown and orange, and you know that it's not the child that's left chas v'shalom off the bus, you know what I mean? But
Don't worry, my kids would always. That was not an issue.
well, some people don't know that they even have a favorite color. I remember as a kid, they always told me that purple was my favorite color. Because my favorite color was blue. Anybody who's near me knows my favorite color is blue, but they never made blue lollipops. So whenever I wanted a lollipop, I always got the purple one, because I think my sister wanted the red. I wasn't going to eat the white ones or the yellow ones or pineapple ones, forget it. So it just makes difference. And then, of course, somebody invented those blue lollies that you lick them and your whole mouth turns blue. Worked. Anything else? We have 5 minutes to wrap up.
Not everybody wants to be loved because they've got a bad idea of what love is. They think love is a bad thing. Like if someone hurts you and then says they love you, you think, what? This is love? And then you don't want it.
Well, I'm sorry that person had to go through that.
No, I think that's quite common. But there's still innately something that they want. Maybe they don't want to call it love. Maybe it's been mislabeled, but their inner being yearns for some kind of something, connection.
Well, we're hardwired for connection. Right. The idea of a baby being left in the hospital when they're being hardwired to a single or two adults is hard.
Well, there's a proof of it, like if you leave a child without hugging it or kissing it, it will die.
Disaster.
Really?
Yeah.
It might
not die, but it might not survive.
No, they did,
No,
they took
died.
children and orphanages,
Right.
and like in the 50s and the 40s and that kind of a thing, and they were perfectly taken care of in terms of cleaning and food, and the number of failure to thrive was exponential.
A lot of them died.
Right. So maternal infant bonding was a concept that when I was growing up, having babies was an important thing. And we now know that that's, it's a real thing. Babies that were put in incubators did well. Babies that were put in Bogota, Colombia, in their mother's shirts because they didn't have enough incubators thrived exponentially better. That when they redid the study in Germany, they stopped it in the middle because the babies that were in their mother's shirts, staying warm, thrived so much better. And when I heard that they put guns in baby incubators in Gaza, I thought, they're never going to win this war. Hashem is not on the side of people that put guns in baby incubators.
My son is in the process of writing a book, which I'm editing, and it's about self-coaching. And he talks about creating a coach is relevant to journaling because you like talking to yourself when you're journaling. So you create in your mind a coach that you can write to. So he says there are 5 qualities. The acronym is SPACE: support, presence, appreciation, what was- empathy, what was the C? Something like that. Huh?
Connection.
Right, I forgot. But the idea that when we're writing in our journals, that we don't have to just be like talking to our ordinary self, like grumble, grumble. A lot of my journal tends to be grumble, grumble. But that we can write in a coach who can elicit other things from us by this kind of like being holding space for you, being supportive, being empathetic.
Can you say what the space represents again? S?
That's the support, present, appreciation,
empathy,
I forget what the C is.
and the connection you said. or
Connection.
comfort.
I forget what the C is. I'll have to look it up for you. And empathy. I'll tell you when the book is published.
Which son is doing it?
Yes.
I think looking at a lot of. Can you pass me? Could you stand up?
That you want for yourself, like with that, you can give it to yourself. Like on the list of what we want for ourselves before we can tell people, we can also give those things to ourselves. Like that's.
I think that's the first key, is that if we don't help ourselves, how can we help another person? It's putting the mask on first.
Mm-hmm.
But also as a tool for journaling, if you don't have to journal only in one voice. You know, you can, like in the internal family systems, we recognize that we have different parts, like a part of me wants this and a part of me wants that. How do they work it out? So you can journal in the voice of different parts.
I like that.
The other thing that you can do is if you had a childhood problem, you can bring your adult mother self or adult self to help hear the voice and help protect me. I'm always protecting the child within and shift the kaleidoscope. In other words, sometimes you look through a situation and you see one color and you just go a little bit turning it, and it's not necessarily worse or better, but it's different. And sometimes that can give you a different shift in your perspective.
I always wait to chat.
That's two, but who's speaking?
Chat.
Mhm.
Me.
You.
No, you're speaking for them. So I'm saying you can find different voices in yourself to speak in your journal.
Okay,
Wow.
Wow.
so next week, I hope everybody writes.
What's our homework?
So your homework
Do we need homework?
is to write.
What's right?
Just right? How many minutes? Let's do it.
It doesn't have to be more, like this time I gave you the layer of thinking about old memories. Like each time just go deeper into yourself. Like you wrote a lot more this time, I could see just from your concentration. Like I almost didn't want to bother you to say. Okay, let's do the next. Where do I get everything? AliExpress.
Sure you would.
I love them.
I will. It's an exceeded 25. Can I pay you right now? Can I bring you no, yeah. Okay, 15. Thank you. That is awesome. Yeah.
You wanna
Right now.
Yes.
Are you around fun? I'm ready. I take that. What? Did you just get to? Okay, great. I'm not on my question. So I will try it. Okay. Oh, nice. Yeah, you're right. You know, I have to watch. Thank you. So let's turn my phone off. Is that all right?
Yes.
So,
They're nice. They're nice.
they look like they're always good.
Everybody help praise. Help you. Great, I can help you. Yeah, I begin, sorry, I have, like, sorry. Big board right on the thing that you gave me.
This needs to be stopped, by the way.
I can help her out. This is yours.
Yeah,
What was that? What's the? Learning this morning for Azina Shatra, who was the 92-year-old woman in Syria who died.